Hey everyone, King Pyro 44 here with Doomfist coming to live today. I thought it would be a great time to make a Doomfist guide video with some tips and tricks thrown in. Now, before we start, I will say that Doomfist is one of the most unique characters in the game. He has amazing mobility and can put out a lot of damage in a very short amount of time, but he also has a very high skill ceiling, so taking the time to really learn him and get down his combos is very important to becoming a very good Doomfist. He's a lot like Genji, so if you're bad at him, you're going to be useless to your team, but if you're good at him, you're going to be able to carry some games. Okay, let's start off with his abilities. His left mouse button is his hand cannon, which is a shotgun that automatically reloads over time. Small tip, this is a great ability to weave into your other ability combos, and I also recommend aiming at the body of your opponents rather than the head because it is a shotgun spread, so more shots hit is better than like the 3 that you'll hit if you aim for the head. You also have to remember that your hand cannon reloads automatically and slowly, so you should really choose when to use it. A good time to use it is definitely to start a fight or finish a fight. Next up, we have Doomfist's bread and butter, the rocket punch. Hold down your right mouse button, and when you release it, you lunge forward, hitting an enemy into a wall, which does extra damage. And when I mean extra damage, hitting enemies into walls does a lot of damage. So if you can find an opportunity to knock someone into a wall, I definitely go for it. So some tips for the Rocket Punch ability. Rocket Punch fully charged does a really nice amount of damage and is great for finishing off lower health heroes. But if you don't charge it all the way, it's still a very good ability that does a good amount of damage. So try to learn when you can full charge and when you just need to tap that right mouse button. You can also move pretty well with the Rocket Punch, and the cooldown is fairly quick, so don't be afraid to use it combined with other abilities right out of spawn to get to the objective completely. Also, with mobility in mind, sometimes saving Rocket Punch as an escape tool is just as effective as using it to engage. One last thing is, barriers do nothing to stop a Rocket Punch, so you can straight up dive through them to get to enemies behind them or even enemies holding them. Reinhardt. Next up, we have Doomfist's shift ability, which is the rising uppercut. You can use this ability to knock enemies into the air or as a movement tool to get to higher areas. I actually use this ability more as an escape and combo starter because it does not do a lot of damage, but its movement effects are really nice to use with other abilities. For example, you can rising uppercut into a rocket punch to reach enemies in the sky like a Pharah or Mercy. You can also add onto that combo by using your hand cannon at the end of it or at the beginning of the combo. Last tip for rising uppercut, and this is only for the players with the reaction time of a god. You can actually use rising uppercut to escape or dodge other abilities. For example, another charge from a Reinhardt or Doomfist. Moving on, we've got Doomfist's E ability, which is Seismic Slam. With this ability, you basically leap forward and smash the ground in a cone-like shape. Enemies you hit will be pulled towards you, and I believe the higher you jump from, the more damage you will do. I could be wrong there, but for me that's what seems to be happening. Again, this is an ability that I feel should mainly be used for movement, either engage with it or disengage with it. Chasing down kills with Seismic Slam may leave you in a very vulnerable position. Again, another nice combo tool as well with his other abilities like Rising Uppercut. Basically, you jump in the air with Rising Uppercut and then you slam down with Seismic Slam. A nice tip is if you want to confuse your enemies, you can engage onto them with Rocket Punch and then use Seismic Slam to get behind them. Doing this will force your opponent to turn around, and this will give you a nice advantage when it comes to finishing off that kill. Now for Doomfist's last ability, it's Meteor Strike, and this is Doomfist's ultimate ability as well. It is extremely strong. The first thing I think everyone should know is that it can be used inside of buildings. I honestly don't know how Doomfist does it, but it can, so don't be hesitant to use it when you're indoors. Another good tip is to use it as an escape. It's possibly the best escape in the game because when you're using it, you are absolutely invulnerable. Using it this way is a great way to stay alive and reposition yourself in the fight. And if you thought Zarya Hanzo or Zarya Diva's ultimate combo was the most amazing wombo combo you've ever seen, you are going to love combining Zarya and Doomfist. Just coordinate with your Zarya when she's going to ult and it's lights out for your opponents. As for Doomfist's passive, he gains passive shields every time he deals damage with an ability, as you can see in the lower left hand corner. Okay, so that's it. We're done with Doomfist's abilities. Now let's get into his counters and good team comps for Doomfist. Let's start with Doomfist's counters. Now, like all heroes in Overwatch, there are rarely any hard counters. The heroes he's weak against just have abilities that give them the upper hand on Doomfist. So his counters are as followed: Orisa, Sombra, McCree, Widowmaker, Pharah, Mei, and Reaper. Every other hero in the game besides these 7s, he's probably either strong or okay against. Doomfist is a hero that relies on his abilities to dish out damage and to move around. So heroes that prevent this, like Orisa, Sombra, McCree, and Mei, do very well against Doomfist. Sombra, in my opinion, is a nightmare for Doomfist to deal with. To be honest, once you're hacked, you have very little options for damage or escapes. Again, Mei, Orisa, and McCree all have the ability to take away Doomfist's movement, and that's why they're strong against him. Mei and Orisa especially, because they need to be pretty close to do damage to you, and you need to be pretty close to do damage to them. So with this in mind, Mei and Orisa can actually take the damage from Doomfist and still live through it so that they can deal enough damage to finish him off. Now, heroes like Widowmaker and Pharah are strong against Doomfist because of the distance he needs to cover to get to them before they can get to him. No, guys, I'm not saying that it is impossible for Doomfist to kill Pharah or Widow. It's just really hard for him to get to them before they can kill him. 2 well-placed Widow headshots will put Doomfist down, and Pharah can stay in the air while Doomfist can get there momentarily via his rising uppercut. And lastly, Doomfist has one of the biggest hitboxes for an offensive hero in Overwatch. With this in mind, the deadly close-range Reaper can be a problem as well, as he will do a lot of damage to Doomfist and heal from that. He can also wraith through some of your combos, making it a challenge for Doomfist to handle. Now, another small tip for you Doomfist mains out there: if you rocket punch an Orisa and she uses her fortify, you will get knocked down and deal absolutely no damage to Orisa. So keep that in mind, because if you do get knocked down, it almost certainly means death. Now for the heroes he goes with, I think Doomfist works really well with a lot of heroes, especially tanks like Zarya and Winston. Zarya because she can shield you and your ults combo well, and you can dive in with Winston and deal that extra damage that he needs to finish off opponents. As for supports, I think Zenyatta and Lucio work great with Doomfist, obviously because you can discord any of his targets as well as keep a Harmony Orb on him to make sure he stays high health. And Lucio can give him that extra speed and dive in with Doomfist to make sure he stays alive. Now, some picks that a lot of people wouldn't think make sense off the bat, but Torbjorn and Symmetra work well with Doomfist because they can give him the extra armor or shields to survive, making him a nightmare to deal with for the opponent. And while they're trying to deal with the turrets, they have to make a choice: either take out the turrets and Torbjorn or Symmetra, or take out the Doomfist that's absolutely pummeling their back line. All in all, I think Doomfist is an amazing hero, and I'm sure he's going to shake up the meta. That's going to do it for this guide, guys. In the comments down below, let me know any tips or tricks you guys use when playing Doomfist, and let me know which tips from this video really helped you guys out. Like the video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet, guys. For now, I'm King Pyro 44, and I'm out of here. Peace.